So this is a very special day and I thought why not let me take you all for a trip. Don't worry about the world outside. This is completely safe and this is going to be our very own virtual trip. So you packed your bags and you were ready to move out and you thought of booking the tickets for the transport and the hotel. So you went online and you were done with the booking and you got your room reserved. So once you reached there, you were greeted warmly by the hotel reception. He said, "Good afternoon, my dear guest. Welcome to the hotel. Please listen to the hotel policies very carefully. You have to pay for every service you consume, but the good thing is, and the good news is, that the breakfast is complimentary. Have a great stay." Then he asked you, would you be interested in taking a look at the services that the hotel has to offer? You said, well, of course, yes, that would be great. Then the manager showed you the list of features that are available to you at the hotel. So you have the gym and the pool area, you have the jacuzzi service, you have a variety of food service, you also have the service for bar and other drinks, and the most important one, the Wi-Fi and the air conditioning. The bed, of course, is free. And all the services that you see here have a price attached to it, isn't it? That makes up the total price of the service package. So you have to choose the service that you need based on the budget that you had. So upon careful investigation and thinking, you decided to take the services that were essential to you, like the food, AC, Wi-Fi, pool, bar and drinks. And you stayed there for about 2 days. So now the time has come for you to return back from the trip back to your home. So now you went up to the reception and asked for the checkout and you received your invoice bill. The amount was around $225 and it was all that for the services that you had consumed or used in your stay at the hotel. Nothing more, nothing less. And then you verified the bill, paid the amount that was charged, and you left the hotel and went back to your home. And that was the end of your trip. So much fun, isn't it? You enjoyed every bit of your liking at the hotel. But try and understand what exactly happened back there. The hotel gave you a list of options as a part of their service catalog to choose the services that you would need as a part of your stay at the hotel. And the policy stated that you pay only for the services you consume. You had the idea of what you need and you were happy to pay for the services you consumed. You were not charged for anything else other than what you used. And once you were done, you paid the amount and you then just vacated the place. No questions asked. And this is in fact a very simple way of understanding pay-as-you-go service model. Here, the service model being the hotel. And I'm sure you're getting the idea of where we are heading towards, but just hold on to that. Now, let's turn the tables around and let's see what happens when we host an application on the cloud. On the cloud environment, we are treated the same way. There are multiple services at the offer and we have to make the decision of what is the best fit for our application hosting. On cloud, we will be getting a pool of services starting from the type of processing power we need to the amount of storage we need to store our files. We get the choice of databases, the choice of analytic tools, the security that we need for our data, and all that we need to host our application. And yes, of course, the networking capabilities as well. But the most important thing is the underlying infrastructure is not ours to manage. We will just use it and we pay for the services we consume. And that's why it's not physical, it's on the cloud. Now tell me, are we ready to understand what is a virtual private cloud? Or do we even understand what is a private cloud for that matter? But let's not focus on AWS private cloud for now. Just think of a virtual private cloud. Do we understand what is a VPC? Or do we understand the difference between a private cloud and a virtual private cloud? Or did we think both are same? And this is what we are going to understand next. So let's start. So now let's try and understand how these models work. And I promise you at the end of this road, you will have a clear understanding of the concepts that we have and what we're trying to learn here. First off, we have the hotel. So let's see the model here. At the hotel, you have the receptionist, you have the service person, and all the services that you can use. and there is a price tag to every service that is on offer. You pay and you make use of that particular service, may it be Wi-Fi or the gym or the pool. You are not responsible for any damage that takes place in the hotel, well, unless you are the reason for it. So you don't own the place, you don't provide the service, you just make use of it. And that is, you pay as you go. Secondly, let's take the model of an independent house. In an independent house, you purchase the land, you build the house, you put your own kitchen, you set up your own bedroom, your living room. Starting from the television in your living room to the kitchen sink, everything that you have is yours. You have paid for it. If anything falls out, you have to pay for it. So the good thing is, you don't have to pay a tariff to stay, or for that matter, you don't have to pay to consume the services. You can stay there as long as you want. Everything is yours, but you pay for the maintenance or any damage. And if you need to upgrade, you have to pay for it as well. Now let's check the third model, that is a studio apartment model. I'm not sure how many of you have stayed in a studio apartment. So you have a shared space with 2 or 3 rooms in the same apartment. You have your own room, your own bed, your washroom, but the Wi-Fi, the food and the pool that you have is shared, and you need to pay for the shared feature or the service. So if you want Wi-Fi, you have to pay for it. All the members are allowed to use the pool if they pay for it. So in this model, you are paying for some of the resources that you virtually own, that is not being accessed by others. Understand this. And you also share some of the resources with someone else, that is your flatmate, but you have the option to choose the shared services you want. So it's also a pay-as-you-go basis, but you have some resources that are shared as well. This being the combination of both hotel and an independent house. Not exactly, but more or less. And now let's transpose this model into the real-time cloud hosting. Let's talk first about the public cloud. Here in the public cloud, you have a shared space where you have the pool of resources that you need to host your application. The public cloud provider provides you an application hosting capability where you can place your code and allocate some processing power to host your application. Some of the most popular public cloud platforms are Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud Platform, Alibaba Cloud, IBM Cloud, or for that matter, Oracle Cloud as well. And here you don't have much control over how the resources are being provisioned. And these are basically computing services offered by third-party providers over the public internet by making them available to anyone who wants to use it. You pay and you use the services, and once your hosting is done, you either extend the contract or billing, else you delete your hosting. That's simple. Next up is the private cloud. This is just like your independent house. You are not sharing your resources with anyone. Your applications are being deployed in-house for yourself or for your customers. You devise security rules to define who has access to what part of your resources. You have your own IT team to manage the servers and the infrastructure. And if there is any need to expand it, you have to pay for the cost of expansion and resource provisioning. Mostly this is being implemented by bigger organizations to minimize the cost at the later point of time in a longer run. And these physical servers can be in the on-premise itself with all the facilities, or else it can be placed at other data centers where the company owns that part of the resource. Now the big fish, the virtual private cloud. I think by now you must have already got the gist and the clue of what virtual private cloud means. So when you see this, just imagine the studio apartment where you have your room and think of that as an isolated environment just for yourself. And think of other flatmates as other organizations that are in the cloud platform using the shared resources, but here you have a certain level of isolation that provides the individual space and resource for each organization. So now if I ask you what would be the best part of being in an isolated environment, the answer would be yes, of course. Others won't have the access to your resources. It's completely yours. And that is why it's called a virtual private cloud. You are trying to create a virtual environment to simulate a scenario of a private cloud on a public cloud infrastructure. I hope you're getting the point here. And that is why the name is Virtual Private Cloud, because it's made to look like being private and isolated, but it's on the cloud. So here we end the initial discussion on what are the differences in cloud platforms, and we start off with Amazon's Virtual Private Cloud.